I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Wow. I've heard you speak about dis-ease and how dis-ease is a manifestation of thought. And somehow, late in my college years, I manifested a troublesome skin condition. And it's very debilitating to me. And I want to know how to shift my energy in a way that will cause me to focus less on the dis-ease.
Well, you have to decide. Now, this is a really good basis to have this discussion from. You have to decide what is the trajectory that you most choose. In other words, nothing just happens. It's all a further manifestation of something that has come before it. So there were thoughts, and then more thoughts, and then more thoughts, and then more thoughts. Thoughts that you didn't even recognize that you were having until they began manifesting. And so what we're saying is being unaware of how you were feeling emotionally, and that's all right because most people are unaware until we get hold of them and make you aware. But so ignoring the emotional symptoms, ignoring the emotional symptoms of split energy until there is enough evidence of them that you can't ignore it. And those are sort of key words, so much that you can't ignore it. What we would like to say to you is that there's never a time that something is so significant that you could not ignore it. But by not thinking about something, you have to think about something else. So you got to get general about it. Do you accept that everything that happens is a manifestation of thought?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a leading question because if you're not there yet, then no discussion that we ever will have, that we would have, would be of any benefit to you. So we've been talking recently. Are you going to the property today for lunch? Mm-hmm. There's a pond there that you'll see, and for a while the water was cloudy. Esther was very unhappy about it. She couldn't see the fish, and so it was determined that the pipes that were putting the water back in, some pipes take the water out, put it in the filter, other pipes bring it back. The pipes were clogged that were bringing the water back, and so it didn't matter how big the filter was and what a good job it did of filtering the water, it couldn't put it back, and so the pond was getting more and more murky. And so finally they realized what the problem was, and they just laid some new pipes on the ground, Mark's idea, rather than dig something up and bury it before you know if it works or not. Lay them on the ground, prove your theory, and then just bury the new pipes. They didn't dig up the old pipes, they just replaced them with new pipes that were open. So there is a tendency to believe that I need to get to the bottom of whatever it was that I was thinking that caused something to manifest that I don't want. And we say it's perfectly all right to be standing in a manifestation or a realization of something unwanted, and from right there where you stand say, I really don't like that. What I want is this. And that's all you need to do. You don't have to go back and explain how you got there. That holds you there longer. You don't even have to understand how you got there. All you have to know is that you don't like where you are, and on the other end of that is, what would you like instead? So if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would be saying these kinds of things to ourselves. Isn't it nice that since I was ignoring emotional evidence, I got evidence right on the surface of my skin where I can see it? Sort of like the bumps on the side of the road. Isn't it nice? It's just guidance. That is all that it is. It's not a symptom of my dysfunction. It's not an indictment of my soul. It's not an indicator of how good or bad I am. It's just a simple indication of vibrational variance between who I really am and what I really want, and who I'm being in this moment, just giving me an opportunity to soothe myself back into alignment. But the thing that is a little tricky about something that is manifested is now it has your attention. And the more you look at what you do not want, the more you offer the vibration of what you do not want, and the longer it stays.
And I look at that every day in the mirror.
So you got to find a way to get your mind off of it. You got to find a way to think of other things, to accept it for what it is. We don't see any of you upset that your fingertips are sensitive when you touch the hot stove. We think you're glad. Oh, this is so embarrassing. My fingertips are so sensitive. I'm going to train myself. If I do it every day a little bit, and we say, don't do it at all. Don't do it at all. Let your sensitivity serve you, you see. And so, yeah, there are negative emotions that you've been willing to endure. And we want all of you to stop doing that. We want you to all become vibrational snobs. Why put up with thoughts that don't feel good? Because thoughts that don't feel good eventually manifest into unwanted things, you see. So it's just a matter of getting off that subject and being more sensitive to the way you feel. Now, one of the things that is really helpful, we haven't talked in this way for a while, but we're going to do it now, and then we're going to tie it into this high-flying disc conversation. So when you have a manifestation or a realization of something, it always brings with it an emotion. So what's the emotion that is, what do you think, what emotion sticks out most to you about this manifestation of this skin condition? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when we say, how does that make you feel? What does that feel like?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
We're asking you that when you do look in the mirror and when you do acknowledge that you have this skin condition, what is the emotion that you feel? Do you feel out of control? Do you feel powerless? Do you feel annoyed? Do you feel irritated? Do you feel confused?
I feel unattractive.
So you feel like if someone else, you feel that if someone else were to hold you as their object of attention, that they would not like what they see.
Yeah.
So whenever you're able to identify what stands out most, and that is what stands out most, then you got to know that you have that going on even before that. In other words, you care too much about what other people think. You sort of contour your life. You don't want to because you're a freedom seeker. Oh, you are such a freedom seeker. But you still care about what other people think. And have you noticed, it is such an interesting thing that when you're on a high-flying disc and they're not, doesn't matter how much you talk to them, they can't hear you. And if you care about what they think, when you're on a high-flying disc and they're not, and they won't join you, and so you're talking, trying to explain because you care how they feel, because you care what they think, you're going to get a rash.